I'm out in the deep snow in early January. There's so much snow locally and the roads are not in good condition that there hasn't seemed any point in driving anywhere to go skiing. I can do it from the front door. So I've dug out my old Nordic skis and headed up into the local hills, where I've come above the mist that's shrouding our house and the glen. I'm looking down across the mist now to the distant Cairngorms, and I thought I'd do a brief little video on the ski gear I use, all of which is very old, but similar stuff is still available, and why I use it. In fact, I'll start with the why. I took up Nordic skiing many years ago, not for the thrill of swooping downhill on slippery planks of wood, but to make hill walking and backpacking in snow easier. When the snow was deep enough that walking became hard work, I could see the point of skis, and I could see the point of cross-country or Nordic skis, and that's why I took up skiing. Now, I do enjoy the downhill stretches, especially long, easy downhills where you can just let the skis run. That's not why I took up skiing, and it's why I've never gone in for alpine skiing or alpine ski mountaineering gear. I have stuck to, if you like, heavy-duty Nordic cross-country gear. Heavy duty because I'm mostly not skiing on prepared tracks, so the skinnier skis and lightest boots and bindings aren't really suitable. Instead, I've always used something like these skis here, which are relatively narrow. They have some sides cut for turning. They have a Nordic camber, so they're sprung in the middle, which means they're good for gliding when you're on tracks or smooth snow. They will cope with deep snow, as I've found today, when in the woods the snow is very deep, and even with the skis the going was quite hard. It would have been much harder on foot. These have a waxless pattern because going straight out from home it's just easier to grab these and go. If I was going for more than a day, if I was going for a really long tour, I'd take waxing skis because then you can get a better performance out of the skis. But when, as this is, it's an afternoon in the local hills, these skis are easy to use. Also, they're old skis, they're quite battered. I'm not too bothered if I hit any rocks or scratch them. Some people call skis like this rock skis, the ones you use when it isn't really that good conditions. At the moment conditions are fine. I haven't hit anything except the odd bit of heather because the snow is so deep, and they have performed fine. The bindings are 3-pin Rotterfeller bindings, again quite traditional. They've been around for decades. They're still around now. I think the new Nordic norm backcountry NNNBC bindings are probably more popular these days and what I would get now. Having said that, these work fine, and the boots go with them. They have, you know, the squared off toe with the holes in to fit on the pins. These are leather boots. They're still available, Garmont Tours, and they're a good compromise between the boot that gives you control of the skis to some extent downhill as well, but also are comfortable. And as happens often in Scotland, if you end up having to walk stretches or walk up to the snow, these are fine for walking in. They basically feel like heavy duty hiking boots, and you can put crampons on them, though you need ones with a wide bail to go over that squared off toe. most crampons are designed for a rounded toe and won't fit. But I've got crampons for these which I've worn quite often. The Super Gaiters, these have been on the boots for probably 20 years. I've never taken them off. When the boots are put in storage, out of season, I just flip the toes off so the tension doesn't curl the boots. That means that the leather has stayed in very good condition. And as I'm always going to use gaiters, if the snow's deep enough to be skiing, it's deep enough for gaiters, I might as well just have them on the boots all the time. These ones are extremities ones. I don't think you can get them anymore, but Berghaus Yetis are much the same thing. And on a ski tour like this, when I'm not going into high mountains, I'm not going to need an ice axe or crampons. If I met anything that needed crampons, I'd turn back. But I wasn't expecting to, and I haven't. It's all deep, soft snow, you can see around here. So I haven't brought ice axe and crampons with me, but otherwise, in the pack, I've got all the things I would take if I was going high up in the hills, like this down jacket to put on when I stop, because the last time I looked at my little thermometer it was -3, and I suspect as the sun goes down it'll get colder, not warmer. I've got several pairs of gloves. These are the thinnest ones because I can operate the camera and the tripod with them, but when I set off skiing again I'll put on thicker ones because these are barely warm enough. And I've got a flask, hot drink, I've got a bag of snacks, I've got more warm clothing in the pack. These are Paramo trousers, which are great because they've got side zips if I do need to ventilate, which I haven't today. And the jacket that I've been wearing is a Paramo jacket, which I'll put back on when I take this off. I can wear this on top of the Paramo, but I didn't need to. There's no wind, there's no precipitation, and I thought, which it is, that this would be fine just on top of a base layer. The skiing has been quite hard work, even out of the woods and up to here, because the snow is quite soft. However, I've now made tracks which lead all the way back down into the glen, and when the snow's like this I like to do out and back trips, because then you can use your own tracks to ski all the way back in, which suddenly becomes much easier than when you were making them coming up. You might as well use the tracks, having done all the work to create them. In fact, for the last section along here, someone else has skied as well, so I was following their tracks. And before that, lower down the glen, there'd been a tractor along part of the track. I suspect a farmer probably going to feed some sheep, or to see if there are any stray sheep. I haven't seen any sheep at all. In fact, I haven't seen any wildlife, except for I saw a flock of field fares and one little wren, and that's been it. There's lots of tracks, mostly roe deer, some rabbits, 1 or 2 foxes, but nothing actually moving. I think they're all sensible and are staying under cover and warm. I'm hoping that there's going to be more snow like this at low level, given we're still fairly early on in the winter, and especially because Tony Hobbs is coming up to join me probably later this month, maybe in February. He's bought lots of Nordic ski gear, he's never used it yet, and he's hoping I can give him a few lessons, but for that of course we need the right amount of snow in the right place, which last year we didn't get. Whenever he came up, the snow either wasn't there, or there wasn't enough of it, or it was too windy to get to. So we're hoping for more luck this year. And of course I am hoping eventually to get up to snow in the high mountains. When the low level snow has gone enough to mean the roads are reasonably clear, then I shall head up into the Cairngorms. As it is, whilst it's like this here, it would seem to be a complete waste not to take advantage of it and just enjoy ski touring from home. Anyway, that's my little talk about ski touring, which when there's snow like this is something I really recommend. It really is fun, really worth doing, and does mean you can get out when the conditions are like this so much more easily than on foot.